Hey, Dr. Eric Goodman here from Foundation Training. I'm here with Dr. Kevin English, a longtime friend and lifetime practitioner out here in Santa Barbara. I want to show you a couple really simple ways to integrate foundation training from any level of current fitness, current range of motion. We're going to use a prop like a Swiss ball, like a countertop, a table, a chair, whatever you have. I love Swiss balls like this because they roll, they move with you. We'll start with a very simple founder. It's one of our most important poses. It's a simple hip hinge range of motion where every little bit of that hip hinge is important. We're training every piece of it. We start with the outside edges of our feet parallel, and I would suggest a wider stance as you get into this. A little wider than that even, Kevin. There you go. So the biggest thing here is there's 3 points of contact on your feet pressing into the ground. Ball joint of the big toe, ball joint of the pinky toe, and the heel. What that ultimately means is that the whole perimeter of your foot is trying to get bigger and pressurize the ground. Press down as you stand tall. As soon as your feet are kind of fastened into the ground, I want you to lift the base of your skull. Notice I'm touching the back of Kevin's head here. It's not look up. It's try to get the whole head, front and back, to simply lift straight up. And if you need a little bit of a chin retraction, a subtle glide back, add that. It shouldn't feel like you're pinching at any points of your neck. It should feel like you're lifting at the entire neck, top to bottom. Maybe a big deep breath that goes and kind of fills the back of the ribs, the upper back, the upper chest, the width of the chest, the width of the ribs. Basically anywhere you can fill. And you'll notice as you do 3, 4, 5 breaths, you're going to be able to fill a bit more. The exhales during these exercises, don't really worry about how to do them. Worry about slowly as you can doing them. So let's inhale big into the chest, and let's exhale slowly as you begin to draw the hips back. As the hips move back, the knees will unlock just a little bit, and Kevin's arms are just going to touch down at the ball. As soon as the ball begins moving away from him, it's because his hips are moving away from the ball. In fact, the hips driving backward is the primary function of this exercise. His whole body is reacting to his hips pulling backward behind his heels. You'll notice that the back of his body is basically, the butt's the furthest thing back. His knees are bent just a little bit, but his knees are more or less directly over the ankles. They're not way ahead of the foot. There is a subtle knee bend, but all of the weight, the knee bend, all of it is completely controlled as that hip joint moves backward. So let's play tug of war a little bit here. And the tug of war is the hips go backward as the hands go forward. The hips continuously winning, going just a little bit further than the hands. It should feel like you're almost going to fall over. In fact, if you fall backwards, you've done a good job. If it hurts you, I'm sorry. Pull the hips back a little further. Reach the hands further. The next thing we're going to focus on is right here, right at the chin level. The hardest thing for us to do with kind of whole body spine integrity is keep the head in position as the hip joints draw back. We're going to do that by lifting right at the back of the occiput here, right at the base of the skull. You can find that pointy bone at the base of your skull and lift. Not so that you drop your chin down, but so that you pull your chin up and back. Lengthening these SCM muscles, it should feel like A, your back's getting tired, B, your hamstrings are tight, C, the weight of your head is in the front of your neck, these big muscles here. Take a big deep breath that fills the back of your ribs, feel the back of your body absorbing the weight of your whole body, and then slowly contract the muscles of the back of your body by pressing the heels a little harder into the ground, driving the hips towards the ball as you leverage the chin back and up. Very slowly, Kevin, real quick, just right into another one of those. Just show the glide in and out, maybe once or twice, leading with the base of the skull lifting. Let's do one more of those. Hips go back, knees bend just a little bit, lift with the base of the skull to begin that come up out of the hip hinge. Now we're going to get out of that founder position. We're going to go left foot forward, right foot back. To more or less, you're not on a balance beam. Your legs are wide enough to be comfortable, but your hips are in the same line, in the same angle. Your hips are square. That's an easier way to say that. You'll notice that Kevin's got his hand on the ball, same side as the back leg. His other hand is kind of governing the distance of the rib cage, the height of the rib cage, the density of the rib cage as it lifts up, not just up in the front, but up in the back and up at the sides, away from the pelvis. So this little half a measuring stick here is going to remain throughout the exercise as Kevin first just lifts the skull as high as he can and scissors the legs at each other. Scissoring the legs means you're trying to basically close the back leg towards the front leg as you close the front leg towards the back leg, like a pair of scissors. Anyhow, lift the chin, pull the skull, breathe into the rib cage, that's where the lungs are. Keep the measuring stick wide. big as you can be, as you then draw the hip back into a woodpecker exercise, loading that posterior chain on the front leg, letting the ball come forward a little bit. One last little thing I'm going to have Kevin do here is press the ball into the inside edge of this front knee. And then he's going to make sure he's pressing that inside edge of the front knee into the ball. 5, 10, 15 pounds of pressure. It should feel like the groin muscles and the butt muscle just engaged all of a sudden. The more pressure you put against the knee into the ball, the more you'll feel that engagement. It should get tiring quickly. Maybe 2 or 3 more breaths. Lift the base of the skull. Feel all those muscles on that front leg, through the heel, through the back of the thigh, through the glutes. Feel all of that working as you leverage your torso back to neutral. And then relax everything. And we'll switch sides. Bring the ball to the other side. Right leg forward, left leg back. Chin back, chest up. The front leg has 3 points of contact. The ball joint to the big toe, ball joint to the pinky toe and the heel. Press them into the ground, move them away from each other. Chin back, chest up, and really lengthen the cylinder of the neck, taking the weight of the head into the neck muscles that are big along the whole front sides here. Big chest breath. The first couple breaths here, you're just going as high up as you can. The lunge decompression is all about lifting the base of the skull as high as you can and taking the rest of the body with it. From there, we're going to go into a hinge. The weight is driven through the front leg. You go from a 50-50 weight distribution to 60-40, 70-30, 80-20. All of a sudden, you're here, you're bringing that ball against the knee, and the vast majority of your body's your body's mass is being held in that front leg, through that front heel, through that front posterior chain. Press into the right knee with the left hand, pressing that ball into the knee, kind of create that reciprocal pressure. Feel the groin muscle and the glute muscle engage. Lift the base of the skull just a little bit higher, and then use all those muscles on the right leg to pull your whole torso back up to neutral, and then relax. So now, real quick, Kevin, without the ball, what I want you to do is let's just go through those exercises briefly, slowly. Not going to over-cue you or anything like that. I just want you to do a quick founder, pull the hips back, pull the arms forward. Okay. All right, without the prop, without anything like that, the movements are completely the same. The hip joints draw back, the knees slowly unlock after the hip joints, the arms move forward. There is a counterbalance that we're constantly trying to improve where the hips and the hands move away from each other. The big stretch, the big weight absorption that you feel along the backside of your body will then be utilized to push the hips forward, lifting the head up. Go for it. Come on up. Go ahead and step forward with the left foot. The lunge decompression goes straight up and down. So right now, Kevin's more or less in a 50-50 weight distribution. His head is lifting as high as he can, so high that his legs start to naturally pull towards each other like a pair of scissors closing. Big deep breath, making sure that you're not extending the spine as you try to breathe. Really push the back ribs out of the way. Reach your back ribs behind you and lift the sternum at the same time. Lift the base of the skull, bring the arms in front of you into a sphere of tension. That's a very simple closed kinetic chain that allows all of the nerves here at the brachial plexus and the back of the rib cage as much space as they can possibly have to work as well as they possibly can. Breathe deeply into all of those nerve spaces. Push the thoracic spine to its maximum width and length. One more big deep breath as we move into a hinge and take it into a woodpecker that goes into from a 50-50 into an 80-20 or so, where 80% of your weight is on that front leg, 20% is just kind of on a rudder at that back leg. Use all that pressure you feel on the left heel, pull the chin back and up, and lift yourself out of that position. Switch legs, right leg forward, left leg back. You're doing a great job, Kevin. 3 points of contact on the front foot. Ball joint to the big toe, ball joint to the pinky toe, heel. Push them apart, spread them apart. Make your foot powerful. The chin is pulling back, the head is lifting up. We're breathing into as much of the rib cage as we can find. The more of the rib cage you push out of the way, the more of the lung you fill. You're lifting up so high that your legs are closing you're just going so high up that your legs are closing like a pair of scissors as you bring the arms forward to a sphere of tension. We'll take a big deep breath here as we fill this space from middle finger to elbows to shoulders to back of the rib cage. Push the shoulders out of the way because you're breathing so hard, not because you're actually pushing the shoulders out of the way. Then we'll go into a hinge that challenges the posterior chain on that front leg. Notice that as Kevin hinged, his knee didn't drive forward at all. All of that range of motion came out of his hip joint. The knee just stayed where it was. He's reaching forward. The vast majority of his weight is being held through that right heel, through the back side of his body on that right leg. He's going to use all of those muscles and contract them to pull his torso back to center, leading with the back of the skull. He's going to let the arms come down, and hopefully he's going to help all of you get better as you learn this video. Enjoy.